Weather Prognosticator Chad Merrill here with a look at the weather forecast through the middle of June, as well as an update on the corn crop progress. First of all, we are looking at a visible satellite image showing the remnant low of former tropical storm Cristobal that is moving into the upper Midwest. On its eastern flank, some showers and thunderstorms starting to progress into the Midwest, and lots of humidity across the south, and this moisture is eventually headed in our direction. Let's look back at the past couple of days. Here's some footage of tropical flooding that occurred. This is the Montgomery County area in the Gaithersburg when heavy rain fell on Friday, June 5th and triggered flash flooding. This car was abandoned and had to be picked up and towed away. So when you see a flooded roadway, it's best to turn around. You don't want to drown because the water is usually deeper than what it appears. Here's an indication of just how high the water was in some of these creeks and streams across Montgomery County, Maryland, running very high as about 1.5 inches of rain fell in a very short period of time. Also, we want to mention that we had a derecho that moved across the mid-Atlantic states, and this was Wednesday, June 3rd. Take a look at the radar depiction, these line of thunderstorms that moved across central Pennsylvania all the way to the coast of New Jersey. And you can see that bowing feature as it moved through New Jersey. That's a very good indication of very high winds, and it did produce wind damage. What exactly is a derecho? Well, a derecho is a complex of storms that produces wind damage over an area of at least 250 miles. Now, derechos are most common in May and June and July, so historically we are in the right period for these to occur, so we could definitely see another one as we head through the summer. They are driven by instability and very, very strong winds and produce widespread wind damage. Now let's get right to the forecast because we have some tropical air that is moving in on Wednesday. Here's a really good indication. This is late Wednesday and early Thursday of the atmospheric moisture content. So the high end of the range for this time in June is about 2.1 inches, and we are going to be just above that mark. That's the amount of moisture that if the atmosphere was squeezed out, it would produce 2.1 inches of rain. That's how humid the air will feel on Wednesday, the upper part of our graph here. So here's the jet stream. It basically says it all. We have what's called an area of high pressure with the wind barbs going in a clockwise fashion across the east. That's pumping up the heat and the humidity and keeping the very cold air confined to this area in Canada. But we have a storm system across the western part of the U.S. that is picking up moisture from the remnant low of Cristobal, and that moisture is being transported north, but some of that moisture on its southeast flank will move into the mid-Atlantic on Wednesday as this storm system heads towards the east coast. Here's what we are looking at Wednesday into early Thursday. The flash flooding and severe threat from 3 till 8 o'clock west of the Allegheny Plateau. That includes Pittsburgh, Morgantown, West Virginia. These storms will contain gusty winds and with a lot of atmospheric moisture could produce flash flooding. Once you get into the Alleghenies all the way to the I-95 corridor, mainly looking at a flash flooding threat, that won't start until 10 to 11 o'clock Wednesday and continue through 3 a.m. Thursday with these off and on showers and thunderstorms. So once again, if you approach a flooded roadway, turn around because the water is usually deeper than what it appears. As we get into the middle of June, we saw that storm system out west progressing to the east, but the jet stream is going to buckle just a bit. So we are going to see occasional rounds of a couple of showers, a couple of thunderstorms, not necessarily cool as this graphic indicates, but a bit more on the humid side. So we will have opportunities for additional rain. Here's the breakdown of what to expect. We talked about the weather on Wednesday through Thursday morning. This is the threats being flash flooding due to high moisture content and gusty winds west of the mountains. Cooler and less humid Thursday and Friday. And then Sunday through Thursday, we get into that pattern where we'll have a couple of showers, a couple of thunderstorms, not an all-day washout, best chance between noon and 7, and an opportunity at daybreak on those days to see what's called a fog bow, especially early in the week. And that is when you have just a thin layer of fog that the sun in the morning can poke through, and it refracts off the drops and forms a rainbow. We mentioned that in an earlier podcast that you can see on our YouTube page. Also, a couple of upcoming night events. The annual solar eclipse on June 21st, the moon too far away from the Earth to completely cover the sun. This results in a ring of light around the darkened moon, and we get an eclipse. But unfortunately, it's only going to be visible across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia on June 21st. And we do want to see that June 20th, we have the summer solstice, the first day of summer. How much rain have we seen so far this month? Well, we are off to a pretty good start. As you can see, most of the Mid-Atlantic seen near or slightly above average rain, except for along and west of the Allegheny Plateau. There's a deficit of close to 1 inch that will be wiped away over the next day and a half as some of the moisture from the tropical system and a cold front move through. And I think that over time, these negative anomalies in Virginia and also the Delmarva will be erased before the end of the month. So how exactly are the corn crops doing? Well, we mentioned that in an earlier podcast, and we wanted to follow up on that. Most of the stalks were planted between May 10th and 22nd in Maryland. In Pennsylvania, planted between May 15th and May 30th. And the corn crop is looking great across the Mid-Atlantic. This is the percentage of good to excellent condition corn crop, and notice that we have 82 to 90% of it looking great, and the departure from the 10-year average is also up by 9 to 12% in the Mid-Atlantic, down a little bit in Virginia because of the dry weather, but that will change over the course of the next week as some beneficial rain moves into parts of the southern Mid-Atlantic as well. Don't forget to log on to almanack.com to order your 2020 Almanac and sign up for Friends of the Almanac. It's the Almanac in digital format. Have a great day.